I've got the intro idea. I've got it.
All right, go ahead.
So actually, one of the four people here, Steel, me, Ledge, Sage, and Kyran, has actually been possessed by an owl. Just trying to figure out which one it is.
Who?
I know you did that. Why not? All right, so this is episode 6 of our Resolve tier list. I'm gonna assume all of you have seen episodes before, unless you're some madman jumping into episode 6. So welcome back to the Infinite Agenda. That makes this all right. We're gonna do these real fast. That makes us Fast and Furious 6, Return of the List, Return of the Resolve, or yeah, that's both of them actually.
Alright.
First up, we have Kakashi Hatake.
Okay. Shall I, or shall someone else?
What is
Wait,
everyone thinking?
one thing first. Resolve Series X.
Okay,
So, shall I or not?
you shall.
Ciao.
It's literally your job.
Alright, cool. Is it? Alright. So, Kakashi. Now, in my opinion, this doesn't necessarily have to do with Resolve at the very start here, but Kakashi, alongside Obito, have the saddest stories in Naruto. Kind of like matched. They go hand in hand.
Are you sure Itachi isn't up there?
I'm sure.
Okay,
I mean,
go forward.
up there, as in alongside them.
Yes.
I've thought about that a lot. Obviously, he would be, third in that case scenario. But we're not talking about Itachi. So,
That's fine.
with
Yes.
Kakashi having one of the absolute worst backstories. Good lord. Now, what I'm trying to think of
Honestly.
is you have, snippets of Resolve here and there when he's a kid. With that whole situation, obviously getting his eye chopped and whatnot, continuing, and then the mental resolve is actually more of the highlights of Kakashi as a whole, though.
Oh my gosh.
So obviously here, in the picture, he dies. So on the same lines as Hinata, although I don't think he was like, well, I guess both of them weren't intentionally trying to die there; they just died. So I kind of on the same lines actually. Yeah,
He knew
they
there
were
was a
defending the village, and he
chance.
died. Yeah, no, absolutely. So he's died.
He knew how strong pain was.
What are other good? Probably I'm thinking mental ones
Okay.
because I don't know if he has too much
So
physical ones other than that.
I
Well,
I
I
have a
one
few
more.
things. A few things for us
Oh,
to
I
consider with
actually,
Kakashi.
I thought of
All
one.
right.
Go ahead.
First of all right, and this all goes into his mental willpower. First of all, when you first meet Kakashi, right, you meet him basically from the lens of his Genin team, from the viewpoint of Sakura, Sasuke, and Naruto. And he seems like a fairly well-adjusted shinobi,
Mhm.
right? He doesn't seem all that weird, doesn't seem like there's anything, too wrong with him. And you would never realize literally how traumatic everything that he has gone through has
Mhm.
been. When he was, what was he, 4 or 6 or something, when his father committed suicide?
I think it's
I
4.
actually didn't know
I believe it was
that.
4.
Didn't
So
know his
his
age.
father committed suicide after being completely reviled by the village because he chose to fail a mission rather than let his teammates die to accomplish it.
Yeah.
And from then on, Kakashi was alone. He literally grew up alone. We see snippets of his life. We see that he didn't grow up even in an orphanage or anything. He grew up alone. He graduated the academy, what was it, maybe 6 or something like that?
I think 6
Okay.
sounds about right.
Like 7 or something like that.
6 or 7, graduated the academy, became a Genin. I believe he became a Chunin pretty quickly after that.
What was it? 13 or
Jonin?
16?
Or Jonin.
13, I think.
13. 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he became a Jonin at 13, right? All of this so far has been, somewhat tragic, but not too far from the norm. At 13, he has his mission where he loses Obito, and Obito gives him his Sharingan as a gift. Okay? Obviously, there's trauma involved in that, and because he received that Sharingan, it's trauma that literally stares him in the eye every time he looks in a mirror.
Or-
It's
Yeah.
shown that he has nightmares, waking up, remembering what happened both with Obito and later with Rin when he killed her when she ran into him on purpose. So she basically
into
forced him
his
to kill
lightning
her.
blade, more specifically.
Exactly. Exactly. And he earned the nickname, which was openly used in the village, by the way, of Kakashi the Friend Killer, because he ended up killing the two people on his original, like, 3-man cell. I can't even imagine what that would be like. So, obviously you have after that, he joins the Anbu for a number of years and is exposed to every part of the dark underbelly of Konoha's shinobi system.
Hmm.
And it just literally, the strength to continue on like that is unfathomable to me.
You
And
kind of
that's just
see,
his background.
like, you can kind of see the level of his what he's been through and also his resolve of like when he's trying to keep Sasuke from running away from the village.
Hmm.
And Sasuke's like, you have no idea what it's like. Like, what if I were to kill everyone who's important to you? And then Kakashi's like, well, everyone who's important to me is already dead. And like he's been through that. His started with his mother. We don't know when, but his mother died. Then his father committed suicide. Then, like you said, all of his friends died. His mentor died.
His mentor. Yeah.
Yeah. And then one of his 3 genin ran away and became like a bad guy.
Yeah.
It's
No, and the thing is, you have to realize from a mental standpoint of the trauma of the first event with Obito, like that takes a humongous toll on you. And then
Oh,
what, 2 years
yeah.
later, almost the exact same thing, technically speaking, happens. But
it's
a little
even worse that
yeah, it's
time.
worse because
Even
he's the one that
It's
killed
worse
her.
because I mean you're in a situation that she asked him to, and obviously he wasn't going to, almost no matter what. And then she jumps in front of it, and it's like too late because it's a terrible move, but it's the one she wanted to make, and it just sucks because then you have to still move on even after that. After 2 years, you lost Obito. Obito's one wish was to protect Rin, and here you are killing her. And of course, Obito is witnessing it, but he doesn't know that he passed out, which is just like, oh man, it's like twice as bad because of the promise he made to Obito anyway. So the mental toughness and the mental hardness of being able to move on and keep your composure and whatnot, which he does completely, is admirable.
When it comes to mentality, the mental like commitment to that, it's actually quite comparable to Obi-Wan in the fact that except Obi-Wan didn't actually kill Anakin, but he also still actually had to face him. He chose to face him, so it's sort of similar to Obito. But he also had everyone that was important to him die. And, including the love of his life, which for Kakashi... Wait. No, it wasn't Rin. Rin was the one that liked him.
Rin liked Kakashi. Kashi didn't have feelings for her.
But still. And Kakashi also had to go through basically seeing Guy die. Although he quickly learned that he wasn't dead, but he knew that he was fairly certain he was going to die. He had to go through Asuma dying and several other people throughout the Fourth Ninja War.
He was also shown, by the way, to have somewhat of a relationship with Itachi because he was his Anbu captain for a while.
Right. So
before Itachi became an Anbu captain.
He has more or less the equivalent of the mental resolve, like been through and has the same amount of shown mental resolve as Obi-Wan. But Obi-Wan didn't go through all the physical things that we've seen Kakashi go through. So in terms of placement, I think he's pretty high up there.
I was imagining S tier, low S tier, possibly high A, but I was kind of thinking low S. Now the other thing, we
Maybe
talked about
in
the war arc
bottom of S tier.
with
maybe?
he actually took on that like double slice to the chest early on, and then fought for I don't know exactly how long after. I mean, it could have been a couple days or
Well,
whatnot.
before we discuss that type of thing, like where he belongs on the list, we should discuss his resolve in a fighting standpoint, because if we go through his life, of course, he fights Zabuza, which then at that point was kind of an unfair battle because Haku was there as well. Haku was stronger than Zabuza. He didn't hesitate to do that fight. He didn't hesitate against Kakazu, hand in hand against Kakazu. That's frightening. He didn't hesitate against Tendo Pain. Also, Obito in the final, not only is that his friend that he failed, but he's also an unfair battle that he has to fight full-heartedly.
Well, he
and
has.
he ends up throwing a Chidori through his chest as well, and that must have been really, really
Jeez.
Yeah.
bad.
So now he actually killed both, more or less.
No, and you got to realize he knows he's not the most powerful shinobi. He knows he's really not even up there. So when he goes against these people like Kakazu and obviously Obito again, it's just like you're kind of at a disadvantage. I mean, you're very smart and you got to rely on that because you
But
don't
he
have
knows
that
he's
much
in a
power.
constant danger of death.
So yeah, you're not like going into it thinking
definitely-
you're gonna win.
He has the skill, it just lacks in chakra.
Yeah, I mean, against Obito, it's literally Obito is him. I'm you, but stronger. Because he doesn't. Because he's not constantly
Obito had
using.
the more powerful eye. Plus, he had Uchiha blood, which means way more chakra, and he had Senju cells at that point. So,
So how
That
did
was a
Kakashi go
fair
against him
fight.
again?
he had help
I know.
to
I was
get
just
into the
kidding.
universe against him.
Yeah, that was a good fight. That was such a good fight.
Yeah.
Especially when they cut off the music and it's just like
Yes,
really intense,
I love when they do that.
like hand-to-hand fighting, like really sad too.
Oh, you can just hear the blows. Oh man.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Resolve, how does he compare?
All right, what are you guys all thinking?
I think he
I'm
has
thinking
more than
right-
Deku because
I would say right above Neji, but behind Guy,
Really?
perhaps,
so.
or maybe in front of Guy.
I don't think he
I
goes in front of
don't know
Guy.
about in front of Guy. Well, here's the thing. We actually have to ignore where everyone else is. I don't care if the list is lopsided. Like I've said before, we don't want to have that dictate
As to
anything.
positioning, yeah.
Yeah, just
Right.
because that wouldn't be fair. Like I know it looks odd if we have a bunch of people in S, but that's just how it is. These are all high people. So
Okay,
ignore that.
so
where
We
you
chose
think.
a bunch of high people.
So let me discuss this then. In terms of mental resolve, he has more mental resolve than everyone on the everyone in A. Period. Well, actually,
Yeah.
he has very similar to Obi-Wan,
let's
but
see.
again, Obi-Wan doesn't have this same physical.
Right.
He has more
Yes,
than
he
All
does.
Might. He has more than Stark.
Yep.
He has more
Probably
than
more
Neji.
than Neji.
More than
Yeah.
Neji.
And as
Yeah, I
for
don't know
mental
about
He's
Guy.
resolve,
demonstrated it
Guy
over
is
a longer
questionable.
period of time than Neji.
well, we're
See,
going off of
his
shown
is like-
resolve though, so we have to go.
His
by
is
that.
like mental toughness, Kakashi's, compared to Guy, which is more of mental resolve. Although they're both like
Right.
resolve, so you have toughness of past.
So I
events
think
that
we all
suck.
agree, especially when combined with the physical resolve. There's no way he's above Guy
No, I don't think so.
But why is
I
that?
can't
What we're
imagine
thinking?
it.
because Guy goes through
went so much
considerably.
pain. It
Yeah.
was unbelievable, like the pain he goes through in Deathgate to try to beat
Yeah.
Madara.
Yeah.
It probably felt like being in an oven.
Kakashi is relying
or
just on his
worse.
mental
Plus
resolve,
your
which
bones
is
are
super
breaking.
high.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's higher than Gon's. I mean, it's could be higher than Mirio's, but we don't have enough of a sample size for Mirio, and that's
Right.
obviously like the other three doesn't.
And it's
matter,
just
but-
my personal opinion that Gon is in the wrong spot, but it kind of seems weirdly because he had
We're
an
not- we're
emotional
not-
reaction. I know we're not going back on this, but it's just
Okay.
kind of hard to judge. Like I would say he's behind Guy, but above Gon.
That's kind of hard to
let's
do,
look at
isn't
the
it?
events. Neji, a more permanent death, obviously. And a
But
more
Kakashi wouldn't have known
cook-
that it would be a temporary death when he died.
No,
obviously, so-
and it was more of a cookie cutter. Like Neji gave his life up to save Naruto, whereas Kakashi just died in a situation. So, as far as where he's at, though, so that kind of feels good. What was?
I don't mind this.
See, now
This
I'm
is
just
fine.
considering if we're switching him with Neji, but I'm thinking though, I don't know, because Neji,
I feel like he has to rank above Neji.
you would think
Neji's
that.
trauma, like the mental toughness of Neji, can't even remotely compare
No, it's
to
not.
Kakashi when
But
you like.
we've not
when
seen
you-
it waver ever, so he just hasn't gone through the
When-
experiences. and
When
I
have
know
we
we're
seen it
talking about-
actually waver with Kakashi though?
No, it hasn't. But he hasn't gone through his tough situations, which is kind of like a helping and hurting him because we are going
Are
from.
you talking about like
past
physical pain?
experiences. Both mental and physical, which Kakashi has gone through less physical than Neji, obviously, with the spider fight and everything like that. Well,
Less
Pretty
physical
much,
than that we've seen, yeah. Less demonstrated physical
with
pain.
demonstrated, and then you have the mental of Kakashi, which is higher. So you guys are all thinking Kakashi above Neji, right?
Yes, that's my vote.
I think when you factor everything in, he just edges him out.
Yeah, I think the two past events are too hard on the mind. So I think
What does
I could
Guy do
probably
that
agree
puts
with
him
you.
above Kakashi?
It's the
State of death.
sheer level of pain that he submits himself
State
to
of
when
death,
he
the
opens
years
gates.
of training with a disadvantage.
Yeah.
I feel like it just has him edge Kakashi out. I don't think it's a huge difference.
Like that's worse than giving your
'Cause
life up.
Kakashi
Like
was
state
never
of
at
death, it's
disadvantage.
way more pain than jumping.
Yeah,
in
Kakashi
like
was
Neji's
considered
death.
a genius, so.
Right.
What do you think, Kyran? Like, do you like him here? Do you think Neji would be above him? Because I could go for either at this point.
When I think of Neji, it's sort of like his resolve and everything like that. Sort of like in my mind is a wavering image, like moments of strength and moments of maybe not so much
true.
throughout his time. Whereas Kakashi,
Okay.
it's like you don't see that heated moments of resolve, but honestly, like resolve takes multiple
Steady.
forms. So it's like it's a very
Steady.
solid, unchanging resolve. So I think he's above Neji.
I
But in
think
terms
that's
of like the sheer amount of physical resolve that Guy has had to do to open that gate, and also the amount of times that he's opened other gates, I think that he stays there.
yeah, I like it like this then.
I agree.
Awesome. How long was
Right.
that?
That wasn't too bad,
Okay.
Next up,
I think.
it's nobody.
Alright.
It's not anybody
We have
important. really.
somebody that it's going to be really hard for
Is
us
that
to
a
remember
statue?
anything about. He's just
How do you
such a
even pronounce this
background
guy's name?
character.
Naruto.
You know, honestly.
Boruto's dad?
Before he goes to
Too far. Too far. I'm not with the bit anymore. Too far.
Ledge, come back.
No, Ledge. Ledge,
Alright.
don't worry. The slander is
So
over.
we are cool with D tier. Moving on. Next up.
Oh, no.
Ledge is about to leave
Alright.
again.
Okay, but being serious, Naruto Uzumaki, obviously the main character of Naruto.
Naruto.
You know, a
Getting
small
started.
little anime that nobody's ever watched.
Wait, Naruto's that little fish cake thing in ramen, right?
Maybe.
Yes, that's what it is.
That's what the show's about, actually.
It's about
Yeah, I
different
saw
ramen
some like
toppings.
art. Is like this guy with like spiky hair, like slurping up ramen or something like that.
Yeah, I
but like
think I
the
saw a
noodles are
tattoo
like
of that.
never
Okay.
ending. Is kind of weird.
Let me go through the
GIF or something.
thousand and probably more scenes of Naruto
Oh
trying
my
to figure out
gosh.
which ones I'm gonna pull from for examples.
There is a lot.
Well, the picture
Okay.
is a pretty good example.
All right,
It
let's
is.
just start off small. Well, I'm gonna start off small because it's the one I thought of right now.
I can't tell if he's being serious.
Fight against Neji.
Okay.
No, I'm serious.
Fight against Neji.
Fight against Neji, and I'm actually talking about just a very small detail of that fight that is easierly
More
that's a word,
easily.
depicted in the anime than in the book. Actually, I don't. In the book, I just maybe didn't catch it, and that was the fact of how much pain it cost him, like how much it would hurt to dig through the ground. Like
With your
it showed
fingernails,
his
yeah.
nails, and they were all split all the way back, like
Ugh.
everywhere, and just bleeding. I was like, oh my
Oh
gosh. I
god.
didn't see that in the book.
It's
Maybe I just
uncomfortable.
missed it or something, but that's like
Wait.
physical strength
would've-
to do that too.
Well, Sage, he would have also been in excruciating pain from having his Tenketsu blocked by Neji earlier in the fight because it causes damage to your internal organs.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So there's an added layer to that.
Nobody thought he was winning that fight.
my own business.
I love the audience. They were all like, anyone want to bet against him? No, Neji's going to win.
I mean, from an outsider
Well,
perspective,
Neji was
you
a
can
genius.
understand
He
why
was
they'd
like
think
top of the
that.
line
No,
back
Neji
then.
should have won only. But on a real note, that was like that's a good turning point for Naruto as a character. Like, oh shoot, he can win fights.
It
Like,
was like
before that-
this is unrelated, but it was kind of BS that his chakra points got blocked, and then he got chakra from the fox that came through the same chakra points. What?
I think the idea was that the sheer volume of chakra was enough to like unblock them or something, or the foreign chakra was enough to unblock them. But I would have to revisit that to be 100% sure if that was the reason.
It was like
Look,
the third book or something.
Look, he
so
blocked
it's
his
fine.
chakra points, but he forgot to block the plot points.
Volume 12.
he didn't fight anybody after that. He was set up to fight Sasuke, wasn't he? Wait, sorry, set up to fight
No.
whoever won Gaara and somebody, or did he lose a fight? I'm so
No, Neji was set up to
Nobody-
fight Gaara and Sasuke, whoever won the Gaara and Sasuke, but he... Well, I mean, aside from Naruto. Oh,
Naruto
yeah,
was.
Naruto. That's who you're talking about.
wait. So Naruto was gonna be
No,
in
he
the
was
final.
disqualified, I think. Because I don't
What?
think he could
No?
continue physically.
No, nobody
No.
was disqualified. The thing got shut down, but
Gaara went
Um,
feral, remember?
No, I know
And
what
the
happened.
tournament
I'm
was
not an idiot. I just...
Well, yeah, but nobody was
I
disqualified.
thought there was something they said about that. Alright.
well, they just didn't pass. Like none of them passed Shikamaru.
Yeah, I knew that.
So I guess he would have been in the finals. Holy cow!
Yeah. I don't think he would have. Well,
No, he
depends
could've-
on what he did.
He would have been in the
wait,
next
Wait,
round.
speaking of resolve, this was
Oh.
only a few minutes later after that fight. He still has like busted up fingernails that are bleeding. He
Yeah,
goes
true.
and defeats Gaara.
Just casually.
Yeah, because
That,
with
that fight was
literally
good.
right after Sasuke's fight.
Oh, so he still
which-
has
oh,
like.
actually,
Wait, does he have internal organ damage at this point?
no, I think it was time after.
May
I
have
don't think it
healed.
was the
Remember
same
how
day,
quickly
was
Don't think about it
healed?
too much.
Oh, maybe
It won't make sense.
Remember how quickly he healed. That's
He does heal quick, really quick,
Thank you.
actually.
that's part of the story, and it always has been. It wasn't a plot point.
No, yeah, right after that, and
Army
I'm
power creep.
not super foggy on it, but with the Gaara fight versus Naruto, yeah, I mean, there's resolve throughout that. I'm just trying to think of
Oh yes.
specifics.
Pacifics.
There's a
I'm trying to think of
lot.
different kinds of oceans.
Pacific, yeah.
Pacifica.
Atlantic.
Yeah, good joke.
India.
Anyways.
Friends make fun of friends' enunciation issues.
All right, is there any examples in the Zabuza fight?
I mean,
Examples
yeah.
of
I mean,
Sasuke's.
there's gonna
He
be
went to
little
protect
bits here or
Sasuke.
there, but well, Sasuke protected him.
Yeah.
okay.
Sasuke protected him.
I would say there
Wait.
actually aren't that many
Yeah.
examples of resolve. He kept going with some injuries against Haku, but most of what he did in the fight after that, that
Mhm.
actually made an impression was after the Fox chakra was influencing his actions. So it was less about his resolve at that point and more about him going feral over something happening to his teammate. And then he kind of convinced Zabuzar with the Talk no Jutsu to see things from his point of view.
Talk no jutsu.
He didn't really fight Zabuzar at that point.
Mm-mm.
So I think that's probably not his best
No,
example.
there are actually
but
really good examples.
I do
coming
have
up.
a few. I do have a
We
few
gotta
early
move up
series
in
examples.
the later
Early
series,
timeline,
or this is
yeah.
gonna take forever.
Continue with the early stuff.
No, that's
No.
fine. I just wanted
But
two quick
finish your
things.
thought. Yeah.
First, the fact that he
Oh.
could never make clones in the academy, and he spent like a whole night working himself to the bone learning how to make shadow clones from that forbidden scroll, and you know he had to work so hard to get that done. And then second, the on the way to the land of waves when he stabbed his hand to lance the poison so they
Yeah.
could continue their mission. I mean, that's inflicting a serious amount of pain because he went all the way through his
Ugh.
hand and a lot of the kunai came out the back. The
Ugh.
anime kind of
The
like
anime doesn't really
tamed it
show it.
down, but the manga
yeah.
showed it in detail, and he
know
definitely
how
When I was
weird
doing my
people-
watch through, Sage actually did that without me. So could you refresh me on what happened?
So when they were attacked by some of the lower ranking like
Yeah, the grunts that were
ninjas.
after the little
Yeah.
kid.
And he got slashed across the back of the hand with a poisoned weapon while Kakashi was watching and waiting. Then at the end, Kakashi said, well, the poison, we're going to have to turn back. You know, there's no way we can continue with you being poisoned. It's going to kill you eventually. And everybody was like, oh, well, I guess we'll turn back for Naruto. And he got mad because he had frozen up in the fight. And so he took his kunai and stabbed himself through the hand in order to
Yeah.
drain the poison out. by
Now
making
you have to
himself bleed
imagine
more.
on Earth how many people, if they were
A
in
whole
that kind of
bunch.
similar situation, a serious mission, they get poisoned, they could go back to get medical attention, or stabbed through their hand to continue. How many people would do that, like in real life? I
It's
can't
not even that
I
high
couldn't do
stakes
that.
of a mission.
That's a
It's
lot.
just a mission, you know?
I know. It's what
It
was
was
it?
his first
rated
real mission, though.
C?
No one would have even thought any less
It-
of him
At
if
the
he had
time,
said,
it was
yeah, I
rated
was
like
poisoned.
C or something.
Yeah, it was a C-rated mission, but it should have
Jeez.
been A-rated,
Yeah.
they said.
Well, it turned into A as soon as I was there. But being able to stab through your own hand, like cutting yourself hurts, but like stabbing all the way through,
Just for a bridge. At that time.
yeah.
Right.
That's
So-
dedication. That's a resolve.
I was thinking about the opposite. The only time that I've really seen Naruto like his resolve just not really be there in some ways, or in one way in particular, is in the fight with Pain. When Hinata dies. That's when he lets himself go to the fox. Like
In a
almost
sense,
completely.
yes. And I was thinking about that a minute ago with, is it considered not resolve when he lets the fox take over?
Um, I don't think he
Yeah.
let the fox take over. I think he let like a weak point that the fox broke through, more accurately.
Hmm.
You sure?
I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
it
just what it
was.
seemed like to me.
It's weird because they are kind of humans in a sense.
Oh no, I'm wrong. I remember they animated it of him undoing the seal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
no,
then
he floated to it and
You're
then
right. I'm
pulled it
sorry.
off. Okay, so I guess that is considered not resolved, but also I think he would have
Well, it's
died if he didn't
considered
do
a
that.
chink in his resolve.
yeah, I'm saying it
And
was the only
That's what
time I
I
can
would
think of where
consider.
that's the only time I can think of with Naruto where he decides something other than resolve
Well,
yeah,
in that
well,
I
and then
sense.
one
also
more
want
time
to point
too,
out. Sorry, go
kind of.
ahead.
No, with the when he was fighting Orochimaru on the small bridge, I don't exactly remember how it got provoked, but he kind of let the fox take over
Orochimaru
that time
used
too.
Sasuke against him. Like
Uh,
he figured
okay.
out that the idea of Sasuke was upsetting Naruto, so he pressed that button and was basically like, "Yeah, Sasuke is mine. You're never getting him back."
Hmm.
And Naruto's like, "Give Sasuke back," and he just was like taunting him essentially.
The only time we've ever
That's
seen
obviously a
Orochimaru like
paraphrasing, but
panic to that point is against Itachi. Aside from that fight, there's no other fight where he's like been that like,
the
well,
sheer
I've got to use a lot
power.
of these, don't I?
Exactly. No, but one thing I wanted to point out, right? We did discuss this when we were talking about Kakashi, the mental toughness of, going
Mhm.
through a situation that's not good. Um, just to briefly sum up some of the things about kind of Naruto's upbringing, right? We know that he was hated and treated badly by the entire village. We know that there was really nobody in his corner until Iruka, and even then, Iruka wasn't really in his corner until the beginning of the show. So we know there were years where Iruka wasn't even on his side. And that obviously has to have an effect on somebody, to be completely disrespected, treated wrong. I mean, we see in some of the kind of filler episodes, I've seen parts where like shopkeepers wouldn't let him buy merchandise. They would throw things at him
He didn't have
to
money.
get no, he
And they
had
put like
money
goofy music
sometimes. He had
behind
an
it so it doesn't seem
allowance.
serious. But
But
He
like,
no,
that's pretty
but
serious.
he had an allowance that was given out by the Hokage. So he could have afforded to buy things at shops. People just kicked him out because they called him a monster. But to kind of sum up my point, a lifetime of mistreatment leaves a mark on people. And there's even obviously it is addressed at one point when he's facing his darker self on that island when he's trying to learn how to work with Kurama. Um, and his
The
darker
Ninetale
self
Fox.
brings up the fact
wait, how did we get
that
here? I was literally gone for like a second.
his darker self brings up the fact that the villagers flipped on a dime as soon as he helped with Pain, and is basically being like, well, why don't you hate and resent them, why would you be okay all of a sudden with them? And I mean, that level of resolve to be able to forgive people who clearly did not treat you well for your entire life speaks to a really high level of mental toughness.
Yeah, like if I was
Yeah.
in the same situation
I couldn't.
before they switched sides, I would be mad at them and I'd be like, fine, you know what? If that's what you think, then I'll show you what that does. Or like I'd be like
Right.
defeated. I wouldn't be able to like
I
keep
would have
going that way if I
crumbled
had no one on
way
my
earlier.
side. That'd be so
Um,
difficult.
Kyron did comment on the resolve might be lacking against like in the Hinata area, but his resolve has never been like heartless or like mission oriented. He has always been like
It's
emotion and
compassion
like
driven.
compassion, that type of thing. Wait, what just happened? Oh, yeah, just to comment on that. Also, I forgot when we were talking about Kakashi that Itachi was another one that he fought. It was before Shippuden that he fought without
Oh,
any issue of resolve. I forgot to mention that.
sorry. The 3 days
And
thing
he went 7 days.
that
Wait,
sucks.
no, three
No,
No, no,
months.
it
it
was
was on
3
a
days.
technical level
It
three
was
days,
3
but
days
one
for
second
Kakashi.
lasted like 30 seconds. Did like in the show, it was like, oh, it's been 1 second. It was like, wait, what? It was
He
30
said
seconds.
he said 72
So
hours you'll be like this.
it really was probably
Okay,
more
yeah,
like a
72
month.
hours of being stabbed on a cross.
Oh, the
Yeah.
infinite nightmare.
Yeah,
So that's a
the
physical
Tsukuyomi.
resolve. Well,
Well, and
actually, that's a mental resolve.
it's
It
also
really
some
is.
mental resolve because as previously stated, Kakashi had at least a working relationship with Itachi at one point before he defected.
Well, it's also mental resolve because that's in your mind. But the thing that I want to comment about that is when he came out of Infinite Nightmare, he was still able to fight, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
Like for that first bit. And the state that he should have been in at that point happens directly after that, where he goes comatose and literally cannot be healed by anyone except Tsunade. So he was able to ward that off long enough to make sure that they went away.
The more I think
Imagine
about it,
not
he's
having an
definitely
aneurysm
deserved
after
to be where
3
he is.
days of being stabbed on a
Oh
cross
my
by
God.
Itachi.
I would have died after 2 hours. My mind would have been like, yeet.
Nope, mine gives up.
Your brain is like, this is what death is. All right, bye. I'm not dealing with this anymore.
Death is better than this. I'm out.
Real quick for Naruto, let's go over all the training related resolve, just to get that all out of the way, because there's at least I think 3 major points. Obviously, he's a very hard trainer, but she already mentioned with the shadow clones and everything. What was the main? Okay, we're singing. That was next in line. That was tough.
Weeks.
It was like crazy amount of time. He was just out there the entire time.
16 hours a day.
Eventually ran out of juice, like he just fell asleep on the ground, woke back up and continued. Just to prove a point, like that he can do it. That's obviously admirable. And then we go into Kakashi helping him train the technique to eventually develop Rasen Shuriken.
Which also took a
and-
while.
Yeah, because it was
And it was on a timeline.
Thank goodness for Kakashi for helping him think of that, or for thinking of that actually. But you're training for non-stop on end. Same thing with the Rasengan, but you have 1,000 or not 1,000. What was it? 80 or how? Was there a number right? 100,
clones?
300, 1,000? I don't think it was 1,000, but
Clones?
Oh.
okay. On
What are
the
you talking
waterfall
about?
specifically, it wasn't like 1,000. It was
Right.
a high number. But before
50
that,
maybe?
300.
Yeah.
I think it was 300.
Oh,
it-
wait,
something
it was
along that.
300.
okay,
he
so
couldn't
300. Yes, it
focus
was times 300. That's
past
right.
that number.
So that's obviously tough. I don't know if it's like the mental toll is times 300 or anything, but still.
Imagine like improving at a 300 times your normal rate.
You
Yeah,
still
it
remember all
depends.
that time.
I know.
No,
Imagine
yeah.
like
Well,
thinking
yeah, because
back
you
and
get the
remembering
info
all that.
when
From
they
like 16 different
info dump.
you get the
perspectives.
info. And
Sorry,
it's like
300
told
different
in your mind, like,
perspectives.
Task.
oh my gosh, actually, yeah.
But it just adds more time to your past memories. It's
and
like,
then
I'm
we
running out of
go
room. That's why I'm
into
so dense.
That's why he
Sage.
matured by Shippuden.
The Sage training. I mean, I'm a little
Ooh,
foggy
yeah,
on it, but
That's really
Foggy
intense
on it.
training.
He was sitting on a tablet on a pointy rock.
Every day he
Trying to
had to
balance
eat
it on it.
weird frog food that was disgusting,
Weird
like
grubs.
worms,
food.
bowls of worms. Like,
Wait, he had to eat worms? SS tier.
All right, so look,
But-
we've discussed many of the overtime and one of the smaller stuff. Now let's get to
Yeah,
the big
smaller
stuff that'll
Got
really
to
help
the
place him.
war.
Okay, fine.
Pain Arc would be next, I believe. I mean, let me go through all of Shippuden. Anything before Pain Arc, I really can't think of much specifically. Nothing like this popping to mind.
Yeah, I mean he's got
Oh,
smaller
Kabuto.
moments, but
I feel like I've actually discussed
Him
this.
versus Kabuto.
Maybe it was just in a general conversation.
Well,
'cause it
no,
was like
before Shippuden, the first fight with Sasuke,
true.
Yes.
the end of the Naruto
High
series.
resolve.
Oh, Final Valley. Yeah.
Extremely high resolve there. Ultimately, he did fail, but he was willing to go as far as it took.
So he's fighting
Yeah,
his
exactly.
best friend.
And he changed Sasuke's mind. Because Sasuke wanted to kill him at the beginning of that fight,
Right.
believed that it would make him stronger, and ultimately he chose not to kill him when he could have.
Yes.
At the end, Naruto was unconscious. He wouldn't have been able to stop him.
He would have got
Yeah.
him in Gekko.
Yeah, he would have
That's what
gotten
he
the
was
Mingekyo
after.
early on, which he wanted to defeat Itachi.
Well,
But then he thought, I'm not gonna
to
do it. My brother. told me
deteriorated
to."
really
You know,
quickly.
which meant that Anakin,
That
wow,
was
Naruto had convinced him enough that he placed Naruto's life above his revenge on Itachi.
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, there was
Ultimately,
an element, like
Sasuke-
Ledge said, that he didn't want to take the path that his brother had suggested, but I remain steadfast in my belief that what Naruto said and did during that fight definitely influenced him as well. So, I
True.
mean, I think
Okay.
it was probably twofold.
But it
Yeah.
does
Well,
also take a lot of resolve
to
to
resolve.
fight your best friend, rather
Yeah, when
than
he's
you know,
trying to kill you, and you're not trying to kill him, but
right.
you're trying to knock sense into him very hard because
Well,
he's
he
being an
put a
idiot.
Chidori through his
Sasuke,
chest
looking
in
at you.
that fight.
Did he?
Oh yeah, his shoulder. Yeah.
He did.
Oh,
He
nice.
rehealed it pretty quick, but it was
like,
just all the way
He
through
thought
his
he had
shoulder.
killed him.
Yeah. Okay,
Alright,
so
in
Shippuden.
the
on, I
book,
guess.
it showed his like
Yeah,
suit like all twisted around his arm, and
Yeah.
like his arm was covered
Yep.
in blood.
and it
Mhm.
was through his actual body.
You could see his
Okay.
shoulder was weird shaped because there's an arm in it.
Ah. Yeah.
Anyways.
The anime is like,
Okay,
this is
so
a
pain
kid's
arc.
show. The manga,
Now,
no, it's not.
The mental toll of fighting your best friend obviously is tough, but specifically when you teleport to the Leaf Village or lack thereof, and you know, like you obviously teleported to the right place, even though you think you didn't at first, and then like, oh, this is the Leaf Village.
Oh, what's
You
left
have
of
to like
it.
come to terms with, oh, everybody's dead, and
This is
with
after
was
All
really
Might
no
calm
push.
about
hesitation.
that.
I mean, none at all.
if
Like, it's
if
basically
he lost his calmness, he would have turned into a
no.
frog.
If he would have lost it right there,
Without
like,
context, that's kind of odd.
Oh no! Oh
Don't lose
no.
your calm, people. You don't want to end up as a frog.
that's actually a good point.
What
Well,
if he
he
just
also
shows
had
up?
that-
Yeah, they're like, "Hey,
he also
Naruto,"
had
but he
that
turns
little
into a
moment.
frog.
He also had that little moment where he asked, I think he asked Tsunade,
Asked about
maybe,
the
about
presence of
if Kakashi was out of the village on a mission because he didn't feel
Because in
his
Sage mode, he
Uh,
can
and
feel
she said
different
no.
kinds of
Tsunade?
chakra.
Was it not one of the slugs?
Maybe it was one of the slugs,
was one
but
of
it
the
was
slugs, I'm
it
pretty
was
sure.
somebody who would have known, who would have been in
Yes.
contact, and
Yeah.
he said, "I don't sense Kakashi Sensei's chakra. Is he on a mission outside of the village?" And he was
They said
told
no,
no,
yeah.
and he was just like, "Okay."
Yeah, well, because I mean,
Like
if you lose,
compartmentalizing that for later.
obviously it's a little bit easier. Well, in a sense, because you don't see them all die with compared to Hinata dying in front of him. But like,
Yeah.
he didn't have any waiver, nothing at all, because you have a very serious job to do. Like you can't, or the whole village is dead for nothing. You know, you can't even defeat who killed them all.
Yeah, he's just
So
being thrown
That was
into
a
be able
hell.
really
to
important.
continue.
Yeah.
And not just that, but you see like the true brilliance of Naruto in that fight. You realize how smart he is, not just power-wise, which he's powerful there, but not the most or anything. To be able to keep his composure and fight smartly and intelligently is really awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like there was a lot from that fight. I know that we
Yeah.
do see that weakness when Hinata
Yes.
was killed in front of him, but other than that,
That is, although
that
it's a
fight
weakness,
was actually a lot of feats of resolve.
yeah, although that was a weakness resolve related, it actually was his best move anyway. Like regardless, I know he was stronger in Sage mode in a way because he's smart and not just on a rampage, but like that needed to happen to win the fight essentially anyway.
So the other point of resolve with the Pain fight is when he goes
Yeah.
to talk to Pain himself.
Exactly.
And the resolve we see here is mental resolve because Hinata is dead.
Charisma. one.
Kakashi is dead. And he decides
Jiraiya.
Jiraiya,
Jiraiya
Dead.
is dead. Also, yeah, his
Because of this
closest
person.
teacher. And he literally says like I think he says something like I want to kill you. Or something similar to the fact like he wants
He
to
acknowledged that, yes.
Yes, like he wants to kill him. It's there, the hatred, all that's burning
obviously,
there.
Yeah,
But his resolve was for peace. His resolve was to stop the endless cycle of hate and fighting. And so against his own personal desire, hate, all of that, he talked to him. Lets
Yeah.
himself get stabbed. Where does he get stabbed? I think
the leg, or no, like the side.
Yeah, I thought it was like the
under
side of his
ribs.
torso. And he's like, "Psh,
Like,
whatever.
kidding?
Anyways." And he keeps
Oh,
going.
no.
So there's
Anyway.
Oh no. Anyways. So that's another form of physical resolve there. All of that packed in there.
Yeah.
So that's a large
So,
amount
like,
of mental resolve.
You're right. On top of him killing so many people you love, then he stabs you. Like, if that doesn't do it, you're not going to get upset.
Any other person would
Trying to
have.
make
Kidding
peace
me.
here.
Are we ready to move on to the war arc? Because we kind of have to rush through this.
Yeah,
I think we
I honestly
probably
don't
are
think
ready
we're gonna
to-
make it to
No,
We
we'll
have
next
probably
character.
wrap up after this one.
Come on.
No, we need to take. We can't be rushed on the next
We
one
have
anyway.
We really
so
can't.
many characters.
It doesn't matter.
left.
It's
Are we doing a long episode or we're gonna cut it off?
if it's a long episode, it'll have to be an hour
Now,
plus.
Is
What are
we're
we
just
at right
gonna. I mean, we
45.
probably should do this character anyway.
Okay.
So with that being said, is there any comparable situations like what we just explained with the Pain arc to any of these other characters? Because that is a kind of a unique way of resolve. Like no one has a moment like that, obviously. But
Kakashi and Obito.
forgiveness, I guess.
It's similar. He forgives Obito as soon as like basically
Yeah.
Obito comes back to his senses. And Obito has directly killed a lot of people. Neji.
Mhm.
The headquarters, all the people
He-
who were stationed at the headquarters.
He caused the death of Minato.
Shikamaru's dad.
Yeah,
He
Shikamaru's
directly
dead.
caused the death of Minato.
Yeah.
He did directly cause the death of Minato, because he
Through
released
So yeah,
Kurama.
that is
Speaking
kind of
of
similar.
Madara,
Karma.
but it's
Yeah.
not really.
Well, he was there to
related.
kill Minato
It still counted.
when he
Like-
released Kurama.
Kurama.
Kurama, thank you. I knew I was saying it wrong, but he was there to kill Minato when he released Kurama. So
It sounds like you're saying Corona.
I'm not
Kurama.
Kurama.
Enough.
Okay.
Enough.
Okay, yeah. Now we can move on to the war arc.
That's semi-similar, yeah, but he still killed him.
You want me to go over the more arc because I haven't talked too much
Sure,
on the
a
Naruto
little
front.
foggy.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh,
okay,
sorry, real
so
quick. Sorry.
this is-
One thing to clear that up is Obito was Kakashi's childhood friend, whereas Naruto had zero relation to Pain, except that he was also a student of Jiraiya's, who killed Jiraiya.
Okay.
So,
I still think
both
Naruto's
Uzumakis.
is more admirable.
no, that's what
in
I'm
that
saying,
situation.
because he didn't have that
Oh,
connection with
yeah,
Pain
yeah.
to forgive
That-
him.
So there's no reason to forgive him. Yes,
Yeah.
you're right.
Right. He wouldn't be motivated.
Go ahead, Ledge.
So with the war arc, he had just finished his like QB cloak first stage training, and then he got brought into another hell situation. Like the Pain arc is like he then sensed and like, oh, you've been hiding me from a war. Bye.
Yeet.
And then
That-
he fights for like
yeah.
3 days straight at 100%, clones everywhere scattered out. And,
Yeah,
like people threw away their lives to protect a single
Protect a
clone of
clone.
his. And then
Which
you're
is
fighting
nuts.
this
Useful they were.
horrible war for so long, for days straight, and then at the end of it, you have to fight 100% against your best friend.
Yeah, that's after
after
fighting 100%
Enemy,
against
enemy. Oh, bigger boss. Bigger,
bigger
boss.
boss.
Biggest boss. And then Sasuke. What?
Sasuke's
Sasuke,
like,
I'm tired.
now fight me.
Why?
Obito, Madara, Kuriga, whatever.
Kaguya? Kaguya?
Kaguya.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Madara. Seeing if I Obito, then Madara, then that
Kaguya
hoe.
didn't exist. That's a myth. Fan fiction crap. No, not part of the story. F it.
Wait, what?
Okay,
What,
I
but
Kaguya?
hate
real-
that they added Kaguya to the show.
realistically, right? He fought all of the Zetsus. He fought Obito. He fought Madara. He fought Kaguya. He went through a lot.
Wait, you're telling me she's not in the anime or the?
Get the
No, she is. I just don't like her
doesn't
presence.
like
Like
her.
Madara is
Get
so
the
much
tail out of
stronger
the
than
way,
her,
please.
and then like the Black Zetsu killed Madara, and then she was there, obviously a much weaker foe that they could defeat.
That no,
It's like,
it was a much weaker
Kaguya
foe that
was like,
Sakura
"It
could
was my
actually help
plan
with.
the whole time. It's like, no, we already said it was Obito's plan, but he was manipulated by Madara. It's like, oh my
Madara was
gosh, it's too
manipulated.
convoluted.
Well, look, they had to have a moment for Team 7, and obviously Sakura was nowhere near strong enough to do anything about Madara, so they had to bring in someone weaker.
That was
It
funny.
would have been really
Um,
difficult even for the rest of Team 7 to do
Well,
something about
talking about
Madara.
the resolve of Naruto, him fighting Sasuke at the final valley for the
Yeah.
second time, when he completely actually running out of energy and still fighting at 100%, raising like
Being
small
prepared to give up
Rasengans,
his life.
falling on his face, and like he was like having his teeth kicked out in this like brawl fight after their chakra was
Yeah.
gone, and it was just like intense.
Sasuke,
Yeah.
I
And
may
then-
be out of
and then-
chakra, but I ain't out of options.
And then
You
out
know
of,
the meme I'm
like,
talking about.
Yes, and then summoning up just like the last dregs of chakra so that you can, spoiler alert, rip each other's arms off, and then you're laying there and you're like, well, we might bleed out here, like we're probably gonna die. And then Naruto turns to Sasuke and he's like, man, I wanted to punch some sense into you some more. And I'm like, what? How are you not done yet?
Like,
Even Sasuke called him crazy at that point.
okay, so in the terms of Sasuke, literally, I'm pretty sure it's everyone else in the village, all of his
Gave up on
friends, everyone he loved, told him, give up on Sasuke, you have to kill him. He has
Even
to be
Sakura
killed.
was like,
Sakura
Everyone
was to the
said
point,
that, including Sakura.
Sakura tried to drive that in so far that she even realized, so she realized that Naruto would not change his mind. That's the level of his resolve. Because she literally tries to trick him so that Naruto doesn't go there and try to save Sasuke. She wants to go there and kill Sasuke.
Yeah.
She has
And
that
she
level of resolve.
attempted very badly to do so herself. Like every single person. And she would have had a lot of motivation to not give up on him. But
I mean, she was in love with the
Naruto was
man.
the only one who didn't but Naruto was the only one who didn't give up on him at any point.
I mean, he was in love with the man. I'm just kidding.
He definitely loved him
Like a
I
brother, like
can't.
literally
You
almost more than
absolutely-
family. I don't
Yeah,
even know how,
you
but-
cannot
Very
look at
one-sided
those
relationship.
actions. No, it's not.
Gets punched
Sasuke.
in the face. Is this love?
Okay.
This
It's
is the
not-
butterfly meme. Naruto getting punched in the face by Sasuke. Is this brotherly love?
But in any case, related to Naruto's resolve specifically, I can't imagine a situation where you would
It would
stick by
waver.
somebody to that point.
Yeah.
Like that's insane resolve. It's actually resolved to the point where he probably should have had less resolve about it. Like he probably shouldn't have been that resolved not to give
Well,
up.
to
on
the
He
him.
point-
seeked him out because he was the only person in the village that had gone through the same thing as him.
Yeah, I
Originally,
understand
yeah.
the bond and everything. Don't worry. Like I understand where it came from, and I love that it's part of the story. It's very compelling. But it's just an insane level of dedication to that goal.
So that's a
No, I
very
mean-
high mental resolve.
Yeah, because
Extremely.
you
Honestly-
imagine like
That's more than That's literally a similar situation to Obi-Wan, but like more because Obi-Wan was like, "All right, we gotta go kill him. I'll kill him."
Yeah.
Naruto was like, "All right,
Obi-Wan
we gotta
was
go
like,
kill him.
"He's
I'm gonna
going to
save him." Did you say kill him? I heard save. Sorry, miscommunication. I'm gonna go save him. Cool.
You said
Save.
beg the Raikage for his life?
Right. Okay, cool. I'm going that way. So, man.
okay. So yeah, with throughout the whole series you have all these little hits that keep happening of like Sasuke is bad or Sasuke gets worse and worse and worse and more in this rabbit hole of, first off he runs away and joins the Sound 4 whatever, and then he murders Killer B and like then he's a wanted criminal, but he murdered somebody, and then of course he murders Danzo, and I don't know exactly if Naruto really realized how bad Danzo was, but he was.
Oh,
the
when he
standing
thought he killed
Hokage.
Killer Bee.
Yeah, no, he was. Yeah, because he had been announced as he killed Killer B. And then
Actually, side note, Danzo's crimes were revealed when Sai's tongue seal went away upon his death. So
Okay.
that was at the point at which Naruto.
Yeah, but Naruto, when he
knew
got
what
there, was
happened.
like, "You just killed the village elder. I'm still gonna want to save you."
you still killed the standing Hokage regardless.
Oh,
And
was
I
he the
know
standing
that.
Hokage at that time? I forgot about that.
He was
Yeah,
acting
acting
Hokage.
Yeah.
He never
Um,
held the actual title officially. He wasn't ratified.
And then at like the very end of this, it's like you think he's come around and you have to defeat Obito, Madara, and Kaguya, and you're mentally exhausted from all that. And then all of a sudden, Sasuke just flips like a 180, grabs all
I'll
the
be the
tailed
new
beasts,
Madara.
and is threatening, to kill the tailed beast and everything. And it's like, well, crap! I thought you had changed good sides, and now you're really doing this right now when I
Like,
fought
that-
for you this whole time.
That also didn't break his resolve. Like, I would have been like pissed. Like, are you kidding
what?
me?
F you.
You know what? I'm done. I stood by you the whole time.
No, so mental resolve. Now we can start kind of comparing him, I guess, to other people. Physical resolve, he doesn't have the most. Experiences as others. He doesn't have like the highest, obviously. He does have high moments. Are you guys okay? You guys were not moving.
You thought you were frozen.
I was
Well, I'm
captivated.
surprised I haven't disconnected actually. No, that's fine. So physical resolve, it's high. If I literally just did physical resolve, he'd probably be B, maybe back of A. Like
Yeah.
that's like just physical. Because he does lose an arm, but again, you're looking at people in A, and that's kind of similar.
Right.
But we go to mental resolve, and
Oh wait, hold
Uh,
on. Physical resolve. Every single time he transformed into the fox, it peeled away all of his skin.
True.
Just wanted
Yeah.
to
He
add
does
that
go
in there.
through pain. Like I don't want to.
so that's kind of similar to Deku, I guess.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah.
And then
Before
you
he
have
got the
to have
cloak,
a
it doesn't
power that
peel away
heals.
the skin when he's synchronized with.
also
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rasen Shuriken destroyed like the cells in his arms,
The
as
nerve
well.
endings and everything. Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
yeah. Now, so I guess he's mostly going to be judged on mental resolve because, like, I don't like we said, Kakashi kind of similar situation, but he has much abundance more like examples. if
I
that
think
makes sense.
if we're going by his mental resolve, like his mental resolve is on the level of Rock Lee's on the fact that it was
unwavered,
instilled
yes.
in his.
It will never be wavered.
Yes, like I mean that's in the show. As much as Rock Lee is literally a character that's his name might as well be resolved. Literally, Naruto is the same. Like I said, the one situation Rock Lee's featured a lot, but Naruto's in pretty much every episode. So then the only scene that I can think of where his resolve wavers, physically or mentally, is that one spot where someone just confessed their love, and I'm sure he realized that he cared about her as well. That one scene, or that one moment, where that amount of love and sacrifice drove him over the edge of anger at this guy, and then he immediately goes like, "I'm not even gonna fight this guy anymore. I want to save him too."
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. So
Well,
look.
Wait,
Yeah. Go ahead.
when we're talking about that scene, it's like that pushed him over the edge, but it was a pretty big edge. Like he had already lost Kakashi, Jiraiya,
The village.
and everybody there. And the village, like there's a lot about to push him
He was
over the
holding
edge.
it.
And this
The place
he
that
must
he
have
wanted to
really
be the
cared
Hokage.
Hinata about this time,
Yeah.
because that's what
Yeah.
pushed him over the edge. He must have really actually cared about her.
I mean, there's not that many
resolve-wise.
shinobi alive at that point from the village. I mean, I'm
Right.
guessing 100 max.
But that's the
So-
only time I ever see his resolve waver, and he's in so many different episodes. So that's how much it's instilled in him.
Yeah, and he
Similar-
quickly recovers it right after that.
Similar to how Mirio changed without hesitation, without his power. Similar how Netero was to the point where he was like, "Yeah, I'm ready to sacrifice my life." Naruto was always at that point. I mean, he
And
literally
Netero knew
has-
the whole time.
Yeah, and Netero like put the bomb on his body, but Naruto's kind of similar. He didn't put it in there, but he had Kurama in his body, and he at some point accepted that and was okay with that. Obviously, he wasn't gonna detonate Kurama and kill himself, but
Right, but it took time. But the core of Naruto's character build is his unwavering determination to never give up on his goals, no matter what those goals may be. I don't think I've ever seen him put his mind to something and then say, "Oh well, never mind."
a shinobi
it-
never
I
goes
can't
back on his
find
word.
I
a
probably should.
single example, not even a
Too late.
That's his
small
Nindo.
thing.
His ninja way.
It's his ninja
Believe
way.
it.
Oh Lord. But it is. It really is. And that's reinforced throughout
Yeah.
every episode of the series.
Exactly. No, now looking at it, I can't imagine him being undergone, so I'm gonna say SS.
Yeah, no.
I mean, we're all agreeant on that, maybe.
Yes.
We are
believe
all
so.
agreeant.
We're all agreeing. Let's not start this again. Okay, so
now we talk about placement.
Well, yeah, okay, so his
Resolve.
resolve is not physically equal to Guy's, but his mental resolve and the fact that it's instilled in him so deeply is above both Kakashi and Guy. Physically and mentally, I think he's above Gon. Gon has like more mental than Guy and more physical than Kakashi, but Naruto has more than both than Gon.
Yes. Gon and Naruto's resolve kind of is like similar-ish, not in levels, but how they are. But looking at it as far as the other characters,
One
SS,
just has a more noble goal than the other.
yeah.
And I'll speak last on my vote, if that's all right.
No.
Okay, so we'll just go down the line backwards. Minato, I don't think he's above.
With the fact that Minato did what he did to Naruto for the village, but also because he knew that Naruto could handle it. Like, that takes a lot of resolve to, like, yeah, my kid can handle this. Let me put half of a tailed beast in this fool. Sucker. Like, as a child, as a baby.
That way.
I know, I just had to say it like that.
Yeah.
Personally, I imagine him going right behind Rock Lee, but I can obviously argue differently. I'm looking at the other two, and I think he's ahead of them.
So,
well, it's kind of close, because Netero did train for 60 years, which is, accumulating.
Well, the thing about Netero is he does have that mental resolve at the end, but throughout most of his life, like, you think about that training, he wasn't in any rush. He didn't have anything going on. He was like, I might as well do this training. Whereas Naruto, pretty much every single time he trained, he had something in the back of his mind. Either it was saving Sasuke, like, I have to get stronger so that I can beat Sasuke so I can knock him out and knock some sense into this fool. Or it's like, I have to do this to save the village, or I have to do this, or underlying everything from the very beginning is, I have to become Hokage.
Yeah.
Whereas Netero sort of had like the, I could take my time doing this training for 60 years.
I am actually willing to make a case for Naruto being ahead of Rock Lee, but
I'll
behind
listen to it.
Minato. My case revolves around the fact that I believe they have nearly the exact same combined mental and physical resolve. But I believe that Naruto's resolve comes from a less, I don't want to say selfish, but less
Self-centered.
self-centered place than Rock Lee's.
Mhm.
Rock Lee's main goal is that he'll be, the best ninja he can possibly be without being able to use ninjutsu.
Right.
Okay? Naruto's goal is to change the entire ninja world.
Right. It's
Right.
on different scales.
And yeah, obviously it is on different scales. And Naruto has obviously had more opportunities to demonstrate his resolve because he is the main character of this series. And so you see him in many more situations. But he has consistently demonstrated to me, in my opinion at least,
Mhm.
the same level of resolve as Rock Lee. And I believe that it just tips him over. I'm almost finished. That it just tips him over the level of Rock Lee because of the fact that his motivation is more noble.
Okay, so that tipped me off of something that I forgot about. For those of you who are wondering, like, why is he so far up? Another thing that shows his mental resolve, it's similar to the fact that he fought against everyone's opinions about Sasuke, but the role he took on from Jiraiya before Jiraiya died was to be the prophesied student of Jiraiya, the one that would break the cycle of hatred in the world. And he had to go through and into, like, against pain, and he had to go confront so many different people and places that were just full of hatred. When he was in the talk with Pain, Pain was like, can you handle that level of hatred, the level of hatred that I have, the level of hatred that everyone has? And Naruto was like, yes, I'm ready to do that. And in that scene, he handled his own hate, because he still had the hate, but he ignored it, and he decided to choose for peace instead and forgiveness. So throughout this entire thing, he had to do that with Sasuke. Even after all the nations had been like, yeah, let's work together, he still had to fight people saying, like, you should still kill Sasuke. That should still be a problem. There were still people who were like,
He let people from Cloud beat him up in place of Sasuke.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we see the fruition of his resolve and the fact that he did not waver even after the Fourth Ninja War, because in Boruto we see that the nations are at peace. So after the Fourth Ninja War, he was still able and had the resolve to deal with any underlying issues that any of the nations had to keep the peace.
Right. Okay, so if I get this straight, are you also saying you're on board with him being ahead of Rock Lee?
I think so, because he had the similar resolve of Rock Lee to prove the people of the village wrong. Because the people of the village thought that Naruto would be, evil, dangerous.
Leadge, what's your thoughts?
So, with my thoughts, I will argue for above the fourth Hokage. I will. And I'm going to explain why. So, let's look at Mirio. When he had his quirk taken away, he made the decision to fight full-heartedly without just his body to protect the girl. We look at Netero. He made the decision to implant the bomb in his chest and to go use his resolve to end that fight because he knew he was too old to probably handle that level. He made that decision. Rock Lee, he makes the decision every day to train extremely hard to get in that fight, and like it's unwavering. It's like in his fibers like that.
Yes.
The fourth Hokage, he knew what the right thing to do was, and it's a really devastating thing to do, and he made that decision. For Naruto, it was never a decision. He didn't have to make the decision. He just runs through this completely full-minded. He knows what's the right thing to do, He works extremely hard, and he deals with these horrible situations, but he never wavers, and he doesn't even have to make the decision. He just runs
So there's no
through it.
choice. It's not like there's two options laid out for him. It's just like he only sees the proper
Yeah, he only
choice.
sees the proper way. He's not making the decision. He only sees the hard way to do things and the right way to do things. And he does them every single time with 100% of his soul,
I don't think
I'm not
the
crying.
easy
My
way is
mic is
ever an
cutting out.
option.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
there are
I
times when
really
he
like on that
hesitates
part.
in, like, a battle and stuff like that, but that's never in terms of resolve. Sometimes that's in terms of, oh, he's surprised. It's never in terms of, which choice do I make?
Right.
Now,
I think
like
he'd
he
be
said,
willing to risk his life in any of these battles that he's
Yeah.
been through.
like he said, throughout the Third Great Ninja War, we know that Minato had to make a lot of difficult decisions. We know that he had to have high levels of resolve. We know that he lost his students, so he had to have high levels of resolve to get through that and continue, his goal to be the Hokage. We know that he had to make, like he said, one of the most difficult decisions to put your child through a life without either of the parents, and also through a life of hatred, because everyone would hate him because he has the beast that destroyed the village inside of him.
And to
Uh,
steal your own soul away.
and to
You're
steal your own
denying
soul away,
yourself a
yeah.
And
peaceful
your
death.
wife dying at your hands right there.
Right.
Right.
So, but I think that actually makes a lot of sense, because if we're talking about resolve itself, yeah, I don't remember Naruto ever being like hesitating. He's never like, we have to kill Sasuke. He's like, well, no, I don't think we should. He's like, no, no, I'm not gonna kill Sasuke.
He's like, no, I'm not going to. That's not an option.
And when he
He's like a
sees-
guy,
and,
he made
like-
the decision to open the 8th gate.
And when the girl that he actually had feelings for, we believe he had feelings for according to the show, Sakura was like, I love you. He's like, well, you're a lying hoe, and I'm gonna go save him. I mean, you're not convincing me to not go save him. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, no, there's only one choice, and that's to go
To
save
save
him.
him,
I don't
like-
know what you're acting like there's a second choice. There's only one.
I actually like
Okay.
that. I like the way you put it.
That's a good point. Okay, so from my standpoint, because I'll probably have kind of the final thoughts on this, seeing as I stand by Rock Lee pretty hard, so anyone who wants to change orders in front of Rock Lee is going to have to go through me. But now, understand that Naruto's my favorite character in the series. Rock Lee is my favorite example of resolve in any series ever. So that's where I'm standing at this point. As far as being because Rock Lee and Minato are actually really similar, although not in situations, but as in we had a tough time deciding who goes where. Man, this is tough though. This
Would
is tough.
Naruto be able to make the same decision as Minato?
I believe so.
I believe so.
Oh, hold on, let me imagine it. Ooh, that's tough.
He'd have to do it with Boruto or
If it was the
Himiwara.
right thing to do, I believe he'd do it.
Ugh.
Himiwara is a better example.
Well, he would think of it as the only option. Look at
Oh.
him with the Raikage. He knew that the only option was to get on his knees and beg him, so that's what he did. If this was the only option, that's what he would do.
That's actually a tough question though.
Well,
It's
that's the
not
thing.
that-
Minato didn't know it was the right option, and he thought it was the best hope for the
Yeah,
future.
'cause
Like, he
you
could have
have-
sealed all of Kurama away. And honestly, that might have been a ridiculous... Well, wait. So with
He said he
Minato...
didn't have enough chakra left to do it.
Oh, is that what he said?
Mhm.
Okay, because I feel like he could have done that, but I feel like he also... Well, this is my thought before you guys said that. But he also decided that Naruto could be, someone that could change the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Trying
Obviously,
to
With
imagine
that,
it from
the
that
Minato
situation.
fight, he didn't have any chakra left. People assume that he has barely any chakra, but he used a crap ton teleporting the Bijou
Oh,
bomb
yeah.
with his
Yeah.
shuriken jutsu.
Yeah, that was a lot.
That wasted like 98% of his chakra, and then he's fighting Obito with the rest in
That's
like
true.
the full final.
All right, so
Yeah.
before I continue my contemplating, what do Steele and Kyran think about the placement?
Remember,
that
my
led
vote
to
is firm on above 4th.
I think he should be above
My-
Rock Lee, for sure.
My
Just because
vote-
of my state. Okay, could you
my
wait till I'm
vote
done?
is- Sorry.
I'm still I'm still 50-50 on sorry, that was sounded kind of rude. I'm still 50-50 on whether or
It's
not
fine.
he should be above Minato, because I don't know, with how much he cares for those close to him, I don't know if he could make that decision to sacrifice the happiness of his own child.
Naruto's
And
always
he's-
been a bit of an idealist. He doesn't believe in compromises to accomplish something. His discussion
Yeah.
with Itachi during the series, where Itachi asks him, if you have to choose between the Leaf and Sasuke one day, what will you do?
Both.
He said, I'll choose both. I won't let him destroy the village, but I won't let him be killed either. So he doesn't really go in for compromises. So upon reflection, I don't think he would make the same choice necessarily as
I don't
Minato.
think you could
But
put
I
him in a
think he'd find a way
situation
to not
where
have
he
to
would
make
have
it.
that choice.
Although it
because-
probably would also shows a different kind of resolve when you think about it. That would be resolved to save
different.
everyone. I mean, it might be the wrong decision, it might end up bad, but it's resolved to make that decision.
Yeah, but you got to imagine, even if you take like his power level down a truckload to where he'd be put in a situation like that, to where he wouldn't have the power to just overcome it. I mean, it's hard to even do. 'Cause you're talking about he wouldn't make compromises, so he would attempt to not lose anybody. So that's tough. And if the fourth Hokage attempted to not lose anybody, it would have failed ultimately. So I don't. If he knew that he had to make that choice to save everybody, yeah, he would. But how would you know? You know.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I don't think Minato knew either. But I think it's also not the same kind of resolve, which isn't a bad thing. That's not a
I,
negative to Naruto.
as far as placement in my mind, I am at least semi-firm on ahead of Rock Lee, behind Minato. I'm very firm on him being ahead of Rock Lee.
I'm
Sage?
still contemplating that exactly. Like, okay,
I
so Ledge wants
understand
ahead.
that, but at this
I
point,
am still
everyone but
thinking
you
so hard on whether he should be ahead of
agree.
Rock Lee. I know you all think that, and that's fine. I'm still thinking about it because, man, like, I know it's small scale and I know it's self-centered and everything, but like nothing screams resolve more than Rock Lee. And whereas like situations with Naruto, we could say that other words define them better than resolve that we've talked about that show
But that
resolve,
doesn't
but
mean the
they
resolve
show
is the
other things
same
better.
level.
Righteousness, everything. Like uh
But I don't think
whatever.
that means
So
that the resolve level is different. I think that just means that the resolve takes a more front and center stage with Rock Lee.
mhm,
Because we're not talking
mhm.
about how much it factors into a character's
No,
personality. We're
yeah.
talking about how much it's there, period.
Okay. This stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll have him to be ahead of Rock Lee, but now let's consider the other question.
Minato.
This is tough. Man, that's tough.
I mean,
Okay.
this is your truly favorite character. Your
I
two
would
favorite
like
characters.
my favorite characters.
I
Yeah.
know.
I'll put it this way. I'll put it this way. I wouldn't deeply disagree with him being ahead of Minato, but my instinct at this point is that he be behind Minato, and that is because I don't believe that he would be willing, if he were in the same situation where he had to make the decision that Minato made, I don't believe he would be willing to make it.
That's another kind of
Okay.
resolve.
I'll put some last words on it
I
then.
understand it's a different kind, but to me, I do think that puts him behind by the slimmest of margins.
To be perfectly
Now-
honest, I know you're going to say the last words, but I'll let you do the
Go ahead,
last
go ahead.
words. To be perfectly honest, which is kind of ironic because they're father and son, I literally right now view them as perfectly equal in levels of resolve. They're
Right.
slightly different
Ledge.
versions, but same.
Well, if you were done, Ledge, do you have anything before I finish up?
And their difference in character is like, I don't know. I think Minato Namikaze is a little bit more mentally mature. He did this thing where he detached himself, his like personality from his actions, because he killed thousands of people in a single day during the Third War. But he's
Right.
also a really chill guy.
Okay.
He is.
Yeah. Okay. So, hold on. I actually just lost the
Oh,
starting
no.
point of my whole train before he said that. Oh,
Okay.
so
Shoot.
you have Minato, who is the golden child, as described multiple times, where you have no flaws. Never shown signs of flaws. He is the perfect scorer on all the tests, everything, and throughout his entire life. Whereas Naruto, and that actually I'm back on the train. I've got it now. Naruto, who has shown at least one time non-resolve of letting the fox, pulling the seal off and letting the fox run rampant. Now, the thing is with the fox, you got to imagine that that's human. Like there's no, it's unbelievable how much he's resisted the fox throughout the whole series to like not let it loose. So that's kind of only that's inevitable, really. It's way too much on you. So I don't think it dings him too much to have released the fox basically. But at the same time, Minato, all of his examples show resolve, like killing 1,000 people. Like it is war, so it's not wrong or anything. That takes resolve. So everything he's done, as like I've said, has no flaws. Whereas Naruto does show, and that's what you're supposed to have in the main character. I do understand that. You guys didn't freeze, right?
No.
Uh, I just thought of something, and obviously I don't want to like derail you,
Continue.
but
No, it's good.
to me, Minato's story arc of his life and Naruto's story arc of his life are almost like, okay, imagine, the what's it called, the apogee of an orbit, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Minato's life started out without any struggle that we are aware of, right? Seems like he had a pretty easy life, you know? Obviously, he would have worked hard to get to where he was
I think he was
as
an orphan.
Hokage. Was he?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty
Okay.
sure,
Alright,
as a
so
theory,
I
of
mean, who's
course,
his dad?
I'm pretty sure Don is his dad and Tsunade is his mom. And
to
then she was
be
super young, so he was put
to
up
be
for
confirmed,
adoption.
he may have been an orphan. However,
Wait, who is
other than
supposed to be his
that,
dad?
The blue-haired ghost guy?
Oh
the
yeah.
fiance of Tsunade, but other than that, his childhood seemed to be pretty happy, right? He wasn't really considered an underdog. He was considered a bit of a genius. He was a prodigy. He was really good at what he did. His life became worse at the very end. You know, he was taken from
Yeah.
this place of like extreme happiness to pure tragedy very quickly, and then his life ended, right? Naruto's life began at that point, right? And Naruto's life was tragedy from the beginning. Naruto was the absolute definition of an underdog throughout his entire life, and
Yeah.
he had to build from those ashes the legacy that he ended up creating.
Right.
I'm kinda starting
So
to realize the
I
brilliance of
do
story
believe there's
writing and contrast in this show,
no,
like, through
no,
this
that's
Yeah.
discussion.
true. I do believe that there is an extreme level of kind of struggle difference in their upbringings
They're
that should
opposites,
be
and yet
noted.
they
Pretty much
landed in the same place on our list.
Okay, yeah. No, I've got it. I've got it.
Perfect
So
contrast.
you go through
Perfectly balanced.
Minato's life, and what I'm going to use to define both of these paths is how much your resolve is tested. Now, with Minato, it's not tested considerably until the very end, and
Mhm.
that's the main thing I'm talking about. Is you can't demonstrate too much resolve when it's not tested too much. Now, obviously, he killed a bunch of people or whatever, but then at the end, it's tested to the max. Naruto is tested throughout his entire life, always, no matter what, it's tested. And so, in one hand, it actually helps both of them because, on the one hand, you have the fact that you're going through so much tough stuff with Naruto, and on the other hand, Minato having not gone through much stuff, it would have been easier for him to, not
Crumble.
have much resolve because it's not been tested much. So that actually doesn't even help. No, but it does a little bit because Naruto has been through more overall.
Can't
I
believe
don't
I
think
thought
he's
we'd
been
get to
through a
this.
situation as serious, obviously. Not quite, really close with the pain arc and everything, but not as serious as Minato's. I think overall, maybe Naruto does edge him out just slightly.
I would agree.
What do you think, Steele?
I could go either way, but that's just what I'm thinking of
Honestly,
because it's more.
honestly, having heard the rest of our arguments and having heard Sage
For an entire
even
hour.
saying, Sage even saying, and Sage obviously would be considered the number one Minato stan. So, in light of that, I do think I would be willing to say that Naruto very slightly edges
Yes,
out
very
Minato.
slightly.
Which, as an average, no matter what I say,
If I
reduces
could
him
place them,
forward.
Unless
I
you
place
argue for him in trash, he doesn't
literally right
like
next
move.
to each other.
Well, that's why I
Like,
said
make
I
a
think
good
they're
argument.
so equal, but I think he does end up at the top of the list.
It's actually insane because I did not think he would be at the top when we
Neither
pulled
did
him
I.
up. And then as we talk about it
It's
more,
because it's such an
oh,
underlying
I know. It's not like
constant.
yes,
We have
yeah,
There's never
we have
like a
900
big
episodes to
switch
pick
because
from,
it's just
so.
always there.
that's insane, yo.
Oh, wavering points would be
Uh.
when he lost control during the
Right.
pain arc, and when he had a kind of stupid like mindset that he got wavered away from because he was beat in Talk no Jutsu, his specialty, by a certain character on our list.
When?
Who? Okay, this is gonna be in the final war arc when Itachi convinced him not to try to do everything by himself.
Oh. And then
Okay,
he's
but
like,
that was just good
nah.
advice.
It was good advice, but he did take it, and that's like a resolve.
No, that just shows that he was willing to reassess something that would
He
not
went back
work.
on his ninja way. of being stupid.
His ninja way wasn't specifically to do everything.
I know. His ninja way is not comparable in strength to what opposed it at that time.
No, it's different.
I like that placement though.
Oh,
Well, this has probably
Lord.
been
Darn it, Naruto, you did it again.
no. This has definitely been an hour
Naruto
plus
is
episode.
And don't go too far in editing this one. You don't have to put too many captions. You can probably send it.
There wasn't a lot of humor in this one, so we'll see how it goes. But If you made it this
Record
point,
the next one tomorrow.
Period characters.
if you made it to this point in this
Do
ridiculously
one
long
just
episode,
character.
thank you for watching. Apologies for
It
being
was
this
only two
long, but I mean,
characters.
with the second character we did, you see how
Apologize, I forgot.
important it was. So
Yeah.
but yeah, let us know if you think
We will only be discussing one character next episode.
possibly
Maybe.
that's a high
Honestly-
possibility.
Honestly, I think we should do one tomorrow with just the next character. That
That
We
doesn't
can do
apply.
it. We can do it.
That doesn't apply to the listeners. All right. So thank you for watching up to this point. If you disagree with us on any point, put a comment in the links below, and maybe we'll discuss it. I know no one watching this probably will or reach this point, but why not? But yeah, we'll see you next time.
Peace.